So how is it that he can stand there in the face of this overwhelming evidence and be taken seriously? I'm not asking now about Barack Obama as an intellectual. I'm asking about the people listening to him.
That's the question of the hour. You have people who don't stop and think. You've had dumbed down education. You've had propagandistic education. And people, what he's saying connects with all those kinds of things.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So we got a comment and a video sent to us, and I'm going to read the comment first. Okay, so it says, "Hi ladies, as a black man, I appreciate the attention you give to the issues going on in the black community. That being said, I wish we would have known about Thomas Sowell years ago. In my opinion, they don't give much credit to black conservatives like him. I'm attaching a video of Mr. Sowell and would like to know your thoughts on it. Keep up the good work, Mike." Okay, so the video, so thank you, first of all. Appreciate that comment. We keeping up the good work. We're doing what we can, Mike. It's rough out here. They're trying to come for us. So the video he sent is from a YouTube video. It's called "Find Out Why the Worst American President Ever Was So Loved."
A few clips of the President of the United States delivering his State of the Union address earlier this year. Clip number 1.
Higher education can't be a luxury. It is an economic imperative that every family in America should be able to afford.
Higher education, an imperative. All he's asking is that all young Americans should have the same opportunity to get a really good education that Tom Sowell had. Tom?
I love the use of the word opportunity. You know, I had as much opportunity to become an NBA star as Michael Jordan had. It just happens that there was some difference in skill. And so the same thing with education. There is no point trying to run people through institutions that they have very little interest in and that they may not be suited for. In fact, I would argue that one of the problems of American education is you have a lot of people in college who have no interest in what a college is supposed to be, nor is there any reason why they should.
And so
So you water down the education of the people who are there to get an education because of the people who are not there for that purpose and who are, and who you're trying to appease in some way.
And is the impulse that we just saw of Barack Obama and his supporters to constantly, more and more people run them through college, and that's what? That's to enhance the standing of intellectuals in society, to teach more and more Americans to defer to intellectuals? Is that part of what's going on?
It's to win votes, frankly.
All right. Straightforward as that. President Obama once again.
I will not cede the wind or solar or battery industry to China or Germany because we refuse to make the same commitment here. We've subsidized oil companies for a century. That's long enough.
This is pre-Solyndra, of course.
Pre-Solyndra. Tom?
You know, this notion of picking out something and calling it a good thing, like education or affordable housing or whatever it might be, everything is a matter of trade-off. What did the man say there?
That he will not cede wind or solar or the battery industry to China or Germany because we refuse to make the same commitment.
It's amazing that here is a man talking about 5 different industries, in none of which he has the slightest experience. You know, but because
First of all, I like how he said, what did this man say? Like he's the president of the United States. He just said it like he wasn't nobody.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me because Thomas is a very well accomplished man. Mm-hmm. He obviously has gone to university. Where did he go to? Mm-hmm. Stanford? Cornell.
Yeah,
okay.
There was a lot of them.
A lot of universities, yeah. I like that he doesn't always say you're supposed to push people all through college. Like, he understands that everyone, that's what I like about him a lot, is that he understands that not everybody is going to go the same route to success, right?
Obama's trying to get votes, but the truth is that we all have strengths in many places.
Yeah.
The idea that everybody has to go to college and we need to all pay for that so everybody can go to college, it really It really doesn't make sense because this point of saying that I had every opportunity to be a basketball player as anybody else, but it just wasn't a strength for me.
Right.
That's the truth. There are going to be people who are supposed to be intellectuals. There are going to be people who are supposed to be blue collar. You know, but we all contribute, but
Yeah.
we're all not supposed to be the same.
Right.
There are many people who get educations and then they get out of school and they can't even find a job that pays them well with their degree.
Yeah.
And then there are people who get a full degree at a Big Ten school, and then they end up doing something that has nothing to do with baking cake.
Which happens a lot.
You know what I mean? And so let people think for themselves.
Right.
He has these degrees from the places you mentioned. He thinks, and people have told him how clever he is. He now thinks that he can do this.
So can you
No human being on this planet could do this.
can you explain, Tom, the particular appeal to intellectuals of the kind you describe here, of the green movement, of the environmental movement?
Oh, it shows them again in the role they relish. They're the wise and noble, forcing the rest of us poor dummies to do what's right. You know, even though we don't want to.
So it's what your old friend Karl Marx would have described as the will to power.
Yes.
All right. You don't want to cut them a little slack. I mean, you're just saying it's ego and pride and vanity.
Yes.
All right. Once again, the President of the United States.
Tax reform should follow the Buffett rule. If you make more than $1 million a year, you should not pay less than 30% in taxes. And my Republican friend Tom Coburn is right. Washington should stop subsidizing millionaires. In fact, if you're earning $1 million a year, you shouldn't get special tax subsidies or deductions. On the other hand, if you make under $250,000 a year, like 98% of American families, your taxes shouldn't go up.
I love it.
You're the one struggling.
Tom?
When people keep their own money, that's called subsidizing them. I love it. You know, that's the brilliance of intellectuals. They can use words in such a malleable way that they can. I mean, Obama has an absolute talent for saying things that make no sense, but not only sound plausible, but inspiring.
So true.
It's like we crap on rich people. Look, and believe me, there are some rich people out here who do some messed up stuff. But
Oh,
what I'm
yeah,
saying is that
100%.
we crap on people for being successful.
Yeah.
You work really hard. I mean, look, I think Ben Shapiro said this. You're just like, yeah, no, I should get the biggest bite of, you know, I should get the biggest chunk because I'm taking the biggest risk.
Right.
And the truth is that is true.
That is true.
You know what I mean? The people who are millionaires, they're creating jobs for a lot of people.
Right. I mean, that's the truth.
I mean,
And they are taking the bigger risk.
Yeah.
So they should keep most of the money.
Such a malleable way that they can. I mean, Obama has an absolute talent for saying things that make no sense, but not only sound plausible, but inspiring. You know, we're subsidizing the oil companies when they deduct the cost of doing business in order to arrive at the figure of how much net income they have. Everybody does that.
Right. So this notion, though, that if you're rich, you ought to pay more. Straightforward enough, no?
It is straightforward, but it's also straightforward nonsense.
Why is that?
People don't. They often speak of people who are rich as people who happen to have money.
Right.
Extremely few people happen to have money.
There aren't that many Rockefellers.
Well, but Rockefeller didn't happen to have money.
But his heirs happen to have it.
His heirs happen to
Right.
have money.
So you're drawing
Rockefeller reduced the cost of oil to a fraction of what it had been before him,
Right.
benefiting millions of people across the country. Therefore, they bought their oil from Rockefeller rather than from people who had more expensive ways of producing oil. For example, one of them being the use of tank cars on the railroads. The progressives were livid that Rockefeller could ship his oil at a cheaper price than the other producers. It never occurred to them that Rockefeller shipped his oil in tank cars, which are a hell of a lot cheaper to transport than in barrels. Right. I mean, we still measure oil in barrels today, but we ship it in tankers.
Right.
And that's how he became a multi-billionaire.
So we know from the study of economic history that wealthy people get wealthy by creating jobs, lowering prices of products. Rather than Bill Gates, the richest man in America, one of the richest men in the world, invented an entire industry that simply didn't. All right, we know all that, And we also know, as we mentioned earlier, that cutting taxes worked to spur economic growth in the 20s, again under John Kennedy in the 60s. Actually, it was Johnson who ended up, most of the tax cuts took place, let's call it under the 60s, and then again in Ronald Reagan in the 1980s.
And then George W. Bush.
And George W. Bush. So how is it that he can stand there in the face of this overwhelming evidence and be taken seriously? I'm not asking now about Barack Obama as an intellectual. I'm asking about the people listening to him.
That's the question of the hour. You have people who don't stop and think. You've had dumbed down education. You've had propagandistic education. And people, what he's saying connects with all those kinds of things.
All right.
In fact, it goes the other way too. I was just doing some research on Detroit and its decline, and they kept raising the city income tax. And every time they raised the tax rate, the tax revenues went down. In 2008, Charles Gibson put this to Obama when he was a candidate. He said, "Why are you for raising the tax rate on the rich? Because you often get more revenue at lower tax rates than at the higher tax rates." And he said, "Well, it's a question of social justice." In other words, he doesn't really care about whether the government raises more revenues. If he can get people mad at the rich and they vote for him, then it's a success. Just as Coleman Young's policies in Detroit were a great.
See, now I always think that when they use this stuff, it's like emotion stuff, to get votes. And I think that Barack will say, or he was saying things that sound great, you know, and, like tax the rich. But he bailed out banks.
But also that's
that's
the reason why he wants you to go to college.
Yeah.
Because if you notice that every college student comes out of college, 85% of them come out sounding just like this.
Yep. Just like this.
They all want to protest. No matter what race you are.
Yeah.
They all want to protest. They all want to eat the rich. They all want, you know what I mean? None of them want to think for themselves. But it's like, what do you think? This is a capitalist country. What if you want to own a business one day?
Yeah.
When you own a business, you create jobs for other people.
People need to come to their senses about the capitalism thing.
Right.
It's the only thing that really works. It's the only thing that really works. Like we were saying before, that under capitalism, you can be middle class or rich.
We thrive.
You can thrive. There's opportunity there. But yeah, it's really funny because Barack Obama is very much a person who just
He's a capitalist.
Yes, capitalist, which they all are.
They all are.
And it's funny how capitalists go against capitalism, but they somehow feed that story to people, and then like the host of the show is saying, how does he get them to do it? It's charisma, it's side talking, it's talking out both sides of your mouth, it's doing one thing in front of you and doing another thing behind you. That's how they're able to do it. You know what I mean? And get people believing him because he's just charismatic. I mean, that's what it is. That's
why everybody he was talking to was looking like, sorry.
Yeah, because everybody in that room.
Everybody in there got money.
Great political success for him. It ruined Detroit, but it didn't.
I just you and I happen to be reading on a similar subject. From 1950 to the present, two things happened. One was that the population of the United States of America roughly doubled, and the other was that the population of Detroit fell by roughly half.
Yes.
Unbelievable. All right. You write in Intellectuals in Society about the intellectuals' view of diplomacy and military affairs. One last clip of the President of the United States.
Thank heaven I'm sitting down.
Look at Iran. Through the power of our diplomacy, a world that was once divided about how to deal with Iran's nuclear program now stands as one. The regime is more isolated than ever before. Its leaders are faced with crippling sanctions. And as long as they shirk their responsibilities, this pressure will not relent.
Tom, will you sleep better tonight having heard that?
I may take a sleeping pill so I can forget it. This man has diddled with Iran to the point where the military people are saying, even if we decide to go in and bomb that place, they're so dispersed, so far underground, it's by no means clear that we can do it. The time when he was going through all this wonderful diplomacy he talks about was precisely the time when those things were put underground and dispersed. It's like when Hitler was arming, that as Churchill said, at one point, a memorandum could have stopped Hitler. Because the power was so lopsidedly on the side of the Western democracies. It's like they can say, "Stop rearming or else."
And
We can't do
intellectuals-
that they diddled with Iran to the point where now we don't know.
Now, but there's something interesting about, to me, whereas with social policy, intellectuals tend to go for the policies that give them greater power. What greater power could an intellectual seek than military power, the power to blow things up? So why do they shrink from...
because they believe that again that their intellect is the unique factor that is going to save us, and to say that there are a bunch of military people are going to be more effective than doing all these terribly clever things that Obama is doing undermines their whole position.
I see. All right.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Thank you for sending that. I appreciate it. Anytime I get a chance to listen to Thomas Sowell, I'm all ears with Thomas. But yeah, no, he's absolutely correct. It's the fascination with Obama is very interesting. I voted for Obama, by the way, the first term. Excuse me, first term, not second term.
Yeah.
We got the idea. We got the hint after the first term that he wasn't doing anything. And it was making things a little bit, making it worse. But yeah, the thing with Barack Obama, the fascination with him was really his charisma. And he's black, so that was very interesting. He's the first black president. But sometimes I feel like we have to look past the historic part of things and be able to look at what we're actually looking at here. Okay, so it wasn't a good president. That's just what it is. But through the power of charisma and pandering and propaganda, he was able to get a lot of people to do the second term, even though we knew he didn't do well in the first term.
Well, I mean, we know he didn't do well because Hillary was going to do a third term of him, and no one wanted to vote for her. They voted for Trump. Right. They said like 40% of the white males that voted for Obama then voted for Trump. So it's not a racist thing. You know what I mean? But the truth is that Obama just did not do what he said he was going to do. But he didn't make any turns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people did vote for him because even white people, I think they voted for him because they thought he was going to.
He was changed.
He was going to change everything.
Yeah.
He was going to finally change this race thing that we've been going through, and all he did was divide us more.
Actually, it's never been worse. It was never
right. No, it's worse.
Yeah,
it's worse now. You know what I mean? And so, look, again, there's this need to always demonize rich people for being wealthy.
Yes.
They work hard. You know what I mean? They invest their money correctly. They make good decisions. They get it's a risk. They take the biggest risk.
True.
And then when the risk works out for them, then all of a sudden they're like these. People that we need to up their taxes, and but they give a lot too. I mean, the jobs that Elon Musk creates, Bill Gates, I mean, all of them.
Yeah.
I don't really like Bill Gates, but I mean,
I'm for the working person. I'm for the working man and woman that are just trying to make their ends meet, or even strive and thrive.
Well, they have a bunch of government jobs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want that. I don't know what they're wanting here. They want to take all the money from rich people, extracting all of their money and pushing that, as opposed to pushing, go for your dreams, go for your goals, go and do this. They're not pushing that. They're just saying, take from this person, and then it'll trickle down to you. Eventually.
It's just like the minimum wage. It's like you want to keep giving people, like Bernie Sanders, we need to make $17 an hour.
Now $17.
$17 an hour, really? You know what I mean? For someone who really has no skills at all, you want to give them $17 an hour, and then all that really does is then these people who own these businesses, this is why why you go to the grocery store and you have automatic groceries, because they don't want to hire anybody for $17 an hour to ring up groceries.
They might as well just buy a machine.
They might as well just buy a machine, and the more that we do that, the more that the minimum wage keeps going up, or it incentivizes people who own business to find robots.
Well, and then you've seen the minimum wage goes up, customer service goes down, right?
Yeah.
Like even when they do have real, people, it's like the customer service now. You guys know
our customer service sucks now.
It sucks. That's
everywhere
horrible.
you go. It sucks. I mean, but back in the day when the minimum wage was not that much, customer service was fantastic.
Pretty good.
Now it's just horrible. No matter where you go to a grocery store, you go to a restaurant.
It's bad.
It doesn't matter. Employees are horrible. Why? Because you're giving them a money that they really aren't earning. They come in late. They come in late. They always have an excuse why they don't come in at all.
Right.
They have nasty attitude. And why is this? Because when you just start giving people stuff, they don't respect it.
And that was the thing, though. That was the thing, I think, with the Obama presidency, is that it was just the idea of just, you know, the government, bigger government. See, that's why I don't. That's another reason on the list of reasons why I even became conservative, is because I didn't like this push for big government, this over push of just more government. I'm like, no, we need to have way less government. You know what I mean? Way less government. And so Barack Obama and, you know, just the Democrats in general are really for that. And I'm just not. I think that it creates a problem in our society. It really does. And yeah, like I'm with Thomas on that.
I don't know. I just think less government is better. We get to make our own decisions.
Right.
You know, low taxes. You know, I don't really see the point. I don't understand all these really wealthy people pretending like they're not capitalists.
Yeah. And then we have all these, like you said, the intellectuals.
You know, people like Barack Obama, Charlemagne the God, and all of these very wealthy people. And
Cornel West, all these people pushing all these intellectuals.
And they're all living well. They've all, you know, worked hard to get to where they are. But for some reason, when they start talking about, they try to pretend like they're just not, like they don't like capitalism. They're literally living lavishly on capitalism.
Barack Obama, Michelle Obama lived on Martha's Vineyard, one of the richest areas in America. Come on, no.
I don't understand why anybody. I still don't get why how anybody can look at these people and
I know, right?
And see that they're just full of crap.
Yeah.
You have to work for your money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even when you're on your way to success, there are going to be times when you work for free.
Yep, it's true.
You know, I mean, you're going to have to work your butt off. You don't just be. People always make it seem, oh well, you know, these people are just really rich, and it was like, do you know how hard it is to make six figures? I mean, just six figures.
Difficult.
Do you know how hard it is to get there?
Yeah.
You don't get. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what sexuality you are. It is so hard to make that kind of income bracket. You know, that tax bracket. You know what I mean? And people who do it, it's because they're dedicated and they're constantly doing it. Yeah. They're doing lots of stuff for free. They're investing a lot of stuff that's a risk, really, because they don't know if it's going to work. They take out loans.
Right.
They miss out on their family time. They do all kinds of stuff. So these people have really taken a risk. And if you do it, you can only, and that's another thing. I think that you can only see it. People who talk like this, talk about taking money from the rich people. These are people who don't own businesses and own homes.
Yeah. Right.
You know, people who don't live in that world always have an opinion about that world. Yeah. And you can have your opinions, it doesn't matter, but unless you walk that walk, you really don't understand
the dollars and cents of it all.
And the blood, sweat, and tears it takes out of your own private life to get to where you want to go. Yeah, so let us know what you guys think. Leave some comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. And that's it. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.